All right. Well, hey everyone, and for the folks that are joining the replay, I want to welcome you to our January Creativity Playshop for Club Yes. I always want to say Camp Yes. And we've been looking at the
Okay.
book Big, Playing Big this month with Tara Mohr. And so whether you read the book or not, we're just going to be using some of the concepts there. We're going to do some journaling or having some discussion around that. We're going to do a process called metacognitive drawing, and it's an intentional creativity practice. Super easy. You do not have to have any drawing skills. You do not have to be an artist. We're just literally going to be trusting our hands to draw lines and squiggles and shapes. So we're just going to have a play with that. It's a very simple tool and it can be very illuminating. Let's put it that way. And we're going to do a Neuro Linguistic Programming NLP process called Circle of Excellence. Have either of you done that before? Not familiar? Okay. So NLP, do you know what NLP is? You might have heard the term. If we think about neuro brain, linguistic, our language, programming, like how do we actually set up a process? The idea is one of the definition of it is a study of excellence. So if you think about someone that's really a master at something, how do they do that? And it's not just like, how does an athlete know, like think about Michael Phelps, say for swimming back in the days. He's an Australian, so good example for me. How does, I mean, yeah, he's got some things around his body shape that really help him, but what are the actual things that he does? And it's the strokes he's doing, it's the learning, all that sort of stuff, but what is he doing in his head? What is he rehearsing? What is he picturing as the outcome of something? So you can actually look at right down to what are the pictures, what are the words they're saying to themselves, what are they hearing, touching, tasting, how are they using their senses, their internal dialogue to create excellence. So we're going to be using a tool that's going to help us tap into some states, some resources that we want when it's tricky to access them. So Alexis, when you were talking to me before we started recording about, going to the open mic, like before you step up to the mic, how can you get yourself into that place where you're really tapped into, I've got this courage, I've got my, I know this stuff here, I've got a clear mind. What are the states that you want to have? And I find that this is a really great tool to use any of those times where you might find it kind of stressful. So public speaking, before you do a presentation, before you have a difficult conversation with someone. So we're going to go through that process. Then we're going to do a little bit more drawing. We'll do some recap, and then we will finish for the night. So because we're a small group, we'll probably finish a little bit sooner, which is all fine. But I'm happy to stay here as long as you want. I actually happen to be kind of fun, but I actually am in a studio tonight. I don't know if you can kind of see. But, in
Ooh,
Sonoma. Yeah, and I've just been actually down here for a couple of days doing an intentional creativity practitioner training, which has been super cool. My
where are you? You said down here.
Oh, I'm in California. So I'm
Oh,
in Sonoma at Museo, which is actually the home of intentional creativity, which is where I've been doing training over this past year around bringing intentional creativity in as a tool. So it's
nice.
kind of fun to be doing that from here. So if we have any questions as we're going along, feel free to, stop me and ask any questions. Anything before we kind of get started? Okay. So because we're just a small group, and I was also thinking about this, one thing I find, anyone here tend to be a bit in their head? Anyone?
That's hysterical. Getting better at getting out of my head.
Good, awesome, great. I'm not like that too. Even though I've done a lot of stuff in this area, I still find at times I try to think through things and I forget that I have other parts of me that are available, my heart, my intuition, my grounding, my access to what's outside of me, even my skin. So the thing I thought would be kind of fun for us to start with first, it's called a coherence meditation. And it's also going to get us just grounded into the process we're going to do today. So in this, I'm going to invite you to stand up. I'm going to just tilt my camera a bit so we can do this. So the thing with this, I get it. Sometimes it's a little challenging to do stuff like this, but I'm going to just encourage us to do it. because it actually can change what you have access to. So we're going to basically, I'm going to explain it as we go through it, and I'm going to encourage you to do it and just to move with it with your own level of comfort. If you want to do it seated, you can also do that too. The idea here is that we're just going to help us get a little bit out of our head and start to remind ourselves, like somatically moving our body, that we have more than just our brain. So, and it's quite powerful. It helps us to get all of these parts kind of working together, if that makes sense. So we're going to start with our heart, and sometimes it's helpful, I find, to kind of put your hands over your heart. You can, or you can just bring your hands up here if that's comfortable. And I like to really start with a bit of a like a figure eight. Like if you imagine with your hips that you're kind of doing like an infinity sign, like a figure eight, and just start to pay attention to your heart. Now, if it's helpful for you, you know, you can close your eyes. I'll be narrating what we're doing here. You can feel free to open your eyes or just have your eyes cast down if that feels safer for you. And again, you can do this sitting down if you need to. Let's just take a couple of deep breaths into our heart. Perhaps you were busy before this, kind of rushing to get here, had a busy day, taking care of other people and all the things you need to do. So let's just to pay attention to our heart, just breathing into our hearts, just allowing that gentle movement of your hips. You can feel it down at your feet. Perhaps you want to picture your heart. Maybe you might notice something about your heart. Does it have a color, light? If I pay attention to mine right now, it feels like this pink, kind of light pink color, this warm. Just gently moving into your heart. And then we're going to travel up our body, up towards our head. So you can bring actually your hands up if you want to. And just imagine here, we're paying attention to our brain, to our head, to our intellect. And again, we're just keeping on moving, go side to side or staying to that figure eight kind of movement. And just imagine here, we're connecting into our head. The brilliance we have, the thinking, the data, the analytics, the ideas that we have, just getting connected into your head. Maybe thanking our brain for being here. I'm going to invite you to go back down to your heart. Just check back in with your heart and heading back up to your head again. So you can also do a figure eight here. Just imagine you're starting to connect these two parts together. So your head and your heart. They're actually starting to feel connected. You can move your arms in whatever way works for you. Bring them together. Now I'm going to invite you to move back down your body towards your belly, into your gut. For a lot of people, this is like the seat of intuition. So just again, using your arms, you go to the front, you go to the back. Just starting to feel that movement. Starting to think about your intuition, trusting your inner guide, about the wisdom that's in your gut. Thanking your gut for all the work that it does for you. And then moving back up through your heart, up into your head, back through your heart, into your belly. And then moving down more into the area of your genital area, your hips, your pelvis. Again, you can go kind of front to back here. Some of that feminine wisdom, a lot of power in this part of our bodies we tend to forget about. It could be a real seed of creativity for us if we're tapped in to this part of ourselves. Back up through the belly, through the heart, the head, the heart. We've also got our lungs there. You could think about your lungs, your belly, genital area. And then moving down your legs. So you could go towards your feet. You could bend over if you want, or just your energy down there. Think about your feet, how they touch the ground, feeling that solid earth underneath you, the texture of what's under there, thanking your feet for walking you around, supporting you, and moving up through your whole system here. Moving back up, moving back down towards your feet. Now I'm going to actually ask you to think about the space around you. So our energy doesn't just stop where our skin is. If you think about where your skin, I'm getting goosebumps here, where does your skin end? And where does it connect with the space around you? So it's all part of your field. Some people say it's 12, 15 feet around you in a circle that you impact. So it's starting to feel that field. And make sure you keep on breathing with this. Keep on breathing. Okay, and then back down to our feet, up through our whole system here, down. Now just move however feels good to you. Just trusting yourself here. Go down through the layers. Is there any layer that feels a bit more stuck? Needs some more attention. Just breathe into that part. All right. Now we can sit down. So is there anything that you notice just doing that, taking that couple of minutes to check into your body? What did you notice from when you started to when you finished?
More relaxed.
More relaxed?
Yeah, tired.
You're tired. Sometimes it's helpful to get other parts going, like, because if say like you're like for myself, if I'm really relying on my brain, and sometimes the other parts can actually help support that. Did you notice any parts that were more kind of here and other parts that are more like, yeah, or like your brain's like, this is stupid, or oftentimes we have thoughts about it.
Yeah, I would get some thoughts about, wow, if somebody was watching me right now, what would they think? Or, that judgment piece. Mm-hmm.
Got it. So totally normal. Anything else, Alexis, you want to share, or you're good?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. So one thing I find, oftentimes, like I will do this before a client, or if I'm about to sit down and try to do something that is out of the ordinary. Like if you're just doing something you do all the time, not necessarily necessary, but say you want to sit down and create something new or have some original ideas or whatever, it's actually really helpful to start bringing everything in to support you, right? Really consciously I am calling in all of these resources inside of me and also outside of me to support me. So that is a process that is an intentional creativity process that I find is actually quite helpful. Okay, so we've talked about who has read the book so far. For those of you that have, one thing I was thinking about is we might just actually do this as discussion. You could also do this in writing, but what is your biggest learning or takeaway so far from playing big? And if you haven't read the book, it's also, if you think about the idea of playing big, I'll pop this in the chat too. What's your biggest learning or takeaway so far about the idea of playing big?
I remember when in the group chat on Facebook, when I think it was Lori said, at first, the concept of playing big means a lot of energy, big presence, and how intimidating or exhausting that felt. And from what I've read of the book, which is very little, it feels more calming and more like intentional, or what feels good to you, or what is part of your being, more than I've got to show up big and I've got to have big ideas and I've got to meet somebody else's expectation of what playing big means. That it's
Absolutely.
more personal and intentional, and it's like takes that judgment away, I guess, since we're on the judgment train.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that. But for you, Alexis, any big takeaways so far? Anything that's surprising?
I mean the whole book, really everything except like one chapter. Like I kept like, as I'm reading, I kept like leaning back and going like, oh my God. Like I was like, really, are you kidding? Like it felt just like it kept like punching me in a good way, like kind of like punching me in the gut or face or something. But
Yeah.
the one I've been thinking about a lot recently is like when it talks about leaping and how like it's different from like making like long-term goals and plans, because we can do, I feel like I do that a lot, but
Mhm.
it's like, what is the big action that like that I could take now?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of what got me off my butt into actually going to the open mics. Was like, all right, I'm gonna quit thinking about what my goal is down the road and just think about this big thing I can do now. Yeah.
I love that. And it's like, it's not like go and research what it would be like and which clubs could I possibly go to. Like you literally went and actually stood in front of people
Exactly.
and
I just went and found the one that worked at the time that I could do it, and just went. I didn't look up anything about it.
Good for
Exactly.
you.
yeah, it's totally badass. I love it.
Awesome.
So if we think about that idea of playing big, like what part of that feels most challenging? If you think about doing those things that scare you, playing a bigger role, playing a bigger part in life, what feels most challenging?
Well, my brain automatically tells me like why I can't do things. That's where my immediately go. Like, what are the reasons I can't do this thing? Yeah. So just kind of like that automatic programming of my brain, kind of pushing
Mhm.
against that or questioning it. And it's the inner critic. I've been doing this thing a lot where I like visualize these, or kind of journal through these conversations between me and my inner critic and my inner mentor. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's been helpful to question that, but that's still my biggest challenge. Yeah.
Got it. How about for you, Deb? What feels most challenging for you?
Sometimes it's just taking the first step, knowing it's like, well, so for me, because I'm a good researcher, I can figure shit out. I'm very good at solving problems, but I play overwhelmed with
Yeah.
some of the big things because it's scary, or it's, the risk, or doing the right thing. It's like, what do I do next? How would I go about it?
Yeah.
I'm too busy.
Yes. Busy time. Such a big one for us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed for myself, like I want to be perfectly ready. Oh, just one more course and one more thing and one more other thing. And then, oh, I need to have more trial things before I can do the real
Mhm.
thing, before I can launch it out there. Like it just seems like there's just always one more step before I need to do it. Absolutely. So I'm going to encourage us to play with something right now. And the idea here is we're going to do something called metacognitive drawing. Metacognitive drawing. It's kind of a funny word. Has anyone done that before?
No.
Okay, so the idea here is that we're actually, if we think about what is intentional creativity, it's really simple. It's just being creative with an intention in mind. So in part of this, what we're doing is we're just not just like willy-nilly creating something. We're actually, as we're creating, we have an intention behind it, and we're watching ourselves as we're doing something. Does anyone here doodle? You've been a
Yes.
doodler? Okay.
Yes.
I love doodling. I'm
Yes.
got into trouble in school for doodling.
Mhm.
Um, it's a little bit like that you're doodling. Like, have you ever noticed this when you're doodling where you'll do it and then afterwards you come back and go, "Oh, that's interesting. Like that kind of looks like a shape of something. It looks like a face. So that looks like a blah blah blah. It looks like an eye or whatever." But you weren't necessarily intentionally doing that.
Yeah.
So we're going to do the same sort of process of doodling. Like there's nothing here where it's going to be like, oh my God, it has to look like a leaf. It has to look like a whatever. We're not trying to create any sort of pattern. All we're going to do is just trust our brain when we take. So I'm going to use a pen up here just to show you. What I'm going to suggest for you is grab a piece of your computer paper or whatever paper you have on hand, or you can use a journal. And you're just going to grab, just intuitively pick a color. Doesn't matter what it is. I can use this one, for example. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your pen on the page and you're just going to start drawing. So there's going to be an inquiry. And so the intention in this process, the process when we're going to do metacognitive drawing here, is just to be curious and to watch ourselves as we're doing the thing. So you're going to just be doing lines, squiggles. You can lift them up if you want to. Often it's really great just to keep the line kind of going, just let it flow. We'll just take about a minute or so. So it's not like you're trying to create a Da Vinci here. We're just going to literally respond to a prompt. And again, yours is going to be completely different to mine. It's going to be different to each other's. Anyone that watches this, everyone is going to have something that's completely different. So I'm going to ask you the question. Let me post it here in the chat. What does playing big look like? What does playing big look like? So for me, if I was going to draw that, I'm just going to be with it just for a minute here, and then I'm just going to start drawing. Okay, so I'm thinking playing big, and then, yeah, I'm just going to I'm just paying attention to what's kind of coming out, and it doesn't have to mean anything. But, and if you want to add words, you can, but mostly we're just drawing a line here. So give that a go. What does playing big look like?
Sorry, I know you just said this, but the cat was getting the thing.
Yeah. So you're just literally taking your pen, putting it on your page, and think about the prompt. What does playing big look like? And even if so, I just did it. If I do it again, it's going to be something different too, right? So I'm just going to respond to that. What does playing big look like? And if you want to pick multiple colors, you can. Most times people just pick one. And we're just noticing, what is our pen doing? What's showing up on the page here? We're just responding to that prompt. And if you wanted to, you could put the question on the bottom so you can keep track.
What's the question?
It's in the chat there. What does playing big look like?
I'd have, thank you.
Good. As you finish up, you can just bring it to a close in the next 20 seconds or so. Okay, so this is mine, and you can see like there's definitely hearts and things showing up here, but there's expansion that's there. There's some swirly things. Like, what do you notice? I noticed this time when I did it too, like this other thing came up where these crosses came up inside of the heart. It was like, oh, but I might get jabbed. And then it was almost like this heart would break. Oh, I'm reversed. This heart might break if people jab at me. Interesting. So it's possible for expansion, but maybe this is like a target or something. So if you take a look at your one, anything that you notice? And again, we're just making this up. Like, it doesn't mean it's the truth or whatever, but what's arising for you? Because you just watched yourself do this. What might be arising for you? Even if you're making it up, technically.
Mine's a lot of movement, a lot of circles and swirls.
You want to show it, Deb? Or you don't have to, but if you want to.
I don't know if you can see it because
you can just hold it up like this.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, it's on the, okay, got it.
Because I did it, because it's big. I don't know if you can
got
see.
it. Love it. Okay.
And then there's one
Cool.
big arrow.
A big arrow. Got it. So it has, what does the arrow mean?
Get out.
Get
Movement.
out? Oh,
Yeah.
movement. Okay, got it.
Well, my intention for the year, my words are get out, and it's get out of my head, get out of my own way, get outside,
Yeah.
get out of town.
Awesome. How about for you, Alexis? What shows up when you think about that?
Well, here's mine.
Ooh.
Oh,
So
wow.
I started drawing and then I thought it looked like angel wings, and then I thought it looked like a superhero cape, and then I thought it looked like two people talking, or playing a trumpet. But I was thinking a lot about like using my voice and like
Mhm.
kind of that's what these like lines and stuff are. But it's just funny to me that how easily this comes to me now, like what it is I need to be doing. I don't have to read another book or take another class or pay another person to tell me it is what I need to do. I just know.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So if we think about for a second, so I'm going to put the prompt here in the chat. So if we think for the purposes of tonight, and Alexis, sounds like you have something that's super clear for you. What is a playing big action or goal or project that you want to take on this year? And like you may not have it completely clear, but it's like, I know that this is something that I want to take on. Like, for example, I know for myself that I want to be doing a lot more creativity in my coaching clients, like with my coaching clients. I want to have clients that are specifically just doing creativity stuff and not my normal coaching. And that kind of scares me. So that's something that is a stretch for me. Another example of a stretch. I have a big stretch around creating more self-love for myself this year, like truly actually getting to the bottom of, oh my God, like I actually love myself, like exactly as I am without changing anything. That feels like a huge challenge for me. So can you take, let's just take like 2 minutes or so and let's do a little bit of writing. So I just want to give you some spaciousness to think about it. What's a playing big action or goal or project? By project, I mean, it might be something like I have a self-love project throughout the year. It's not one specific thing. It's more like a way of being through the year. So let's just take a little bit of time here.
We're
Just to,
writing and not
yeah, I would say at
doing
this point, just do a little bit of journaling and then we'll do some
it.
drawing
Okay.
as well.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Is that volume okay?
Yes.
Finishing up in the next 30 seconds or so. Okay, bringing your writing to a close. All right, so I want you to take another piece of paper now, or you could turn over this one if you want to, totally fine. Sometimes it's cool to kind of have these pages to, because more things might come to you as you look at them later. So I'm just gonna get rid of this one. Apparently it's an arm workout. So here I'm gonna ask you to, through metacognitive drawing, to actually create an image of what this action or goal or project looks like. So for me, I'm going to actually do this goal about self-love. For the two of you, do you mind just sharing a little tiny bit about what the goal is, what your playing big goal is?
I want to start like either do like a YouTube channel or a podcast or a something, a thing.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
On a particular topic or anything, or it's
Oh,
gonna get
like comedy,
on
uplifting comedy content. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. That sounds amazing. How about you, Deb?
Mine is creating more connection.
With anyone in particular or any groups in particular?
Yes and no. I mean, it's both social and love.
Okay,
It's
got it.
trusting myself, keeping my inner child safe.
Got it. Keeping safe. Got it. All right. So we're going to do the same sort of idea here. And it's not like, you're going to literally add in the shape of a microphone, Alexis. It might show up there. Who knows? But we're not here trying to literally draw that. I'm not literally trying to draw my goal. You're not literally trying to draw like the faces of the humans that you want to connect with. We're just going to, again, use this idea of metacognitive drawing. Like we're just going to be taking our pen, we're going to be putting it on the page, and then keeping that inquiry. What does this action, add your one in there, this goal, look like? What does it look like? And just taking, again, about 2 minutes here, and just drawing, what does it look like? Use a different color pen if you want. You can use multiple pens. Keep on breathing. Just keeping that inquiry in mind, just watching your pen on the page here. What does this goal or action look like? What shapes show up? What lines show up? Taking another 20, 30 seconds. Mhm. All right. So bringing that to a close. What did you notice this time around? What is, and again, you can write the question on your page if you want to be able to refer back.
I found
What
my
do you notice?
brain was trying too hard to control it.
Got it. It's a good noticing, right? We want it to look good, or we want it to make sense.
Can't look like the other one. You're drawing too many straight lines. There's an arrow again. Looks
So I
like
would just invite, yeah, your conscious mind, like, hey, thanks for weighing in like that. You know, sometimes that's really helpful. And right now, like, I'm gonna encourage you, left brain, to go have a cup of tea or a cocktail or whatever you're into
like Elizabeth Gilbert in her what's
here.
the
Yeah, in Big
yeah.
Magic.
Yep.
Yeah.
She has a master class on calm that I listen to all the time. And it's just like, thanks so much. You
Yeah,
cannot
thanks
drive
so
today.
much. Thanks so much. And you can also, even just for a minute, just if you notice yourself doing there, like one thing I like to do is just to pay back attention to, okay, like I'm kind of hanging out up here. Like, how can I drop into my heart maybe, or can I drop into my gut or a different part of you that like, or like right now my skin is like the hairs are rising. I'm like, oh, maybe I can pay attention to my skin or to where I touch out into the space. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's just something as we keep on doing more of these, it's like, oh, I notice I'm just overthinking this right now. You know, or performance is showing up, or I'm trying to make this look good. Oh, maybe she's going to make me show me my drawing again. So it better be good. It can't be crap, right? Because like there's going to be grading, you know, of this.
Right. Yeah. There's that
We're so
constant
used to,
judgment.
yeah. I was talking to one of our teachers down here about, I remember my high school art teacher, Miss Olivet, and she was so grumpy. She was just like, she hated life. She was like super uninspirational. It's just a super downer. I'm like, why are you teaching this? Like,
Wow.
it just was, yeah, it wasn't great. She wasn't encouraging. So we don't want to be Miss Olivet to ourselves, right? We're like, this is just curious. And I'm just very curious what's coming out. Anything that you did notice as you, like, even though you were noticing your brain trying to control it, what showed up on the page for you?
There's a lot of jagged lines. There's a lot of points. There's a lot of just like this, like, oh, so maybe it's go out and come back, you know, like it's taking the steps out and then coming back to self, and then, you know, putting myself out there and coming back to self, just doing.
Yeah, you talked a bit about safety before. How does that jagged line feel when you think about the idea of safety?
Well, if I think of it in the respect of going out and coming back, that knowing that I can come back to safety in myself, then it feels okay. I think initially it was like, ooh, that's jagged, that's pointed, that's harsh. But I think if it's just like stepping out and stepping back,
Yeah,
then
beautiful.
it feels okay.
And if you feel that, like it might be the sort of thing where you want to go and add a few words to your page, like I know I can go out and I can always come back in and feel safe inside myself, or whatever it is that feels true for you.
Yeah.
You can add something to this page, because now when you come back and look at it, it's like, oh, that's right, I can make those forays, and I know I can always come back in and take good care of myself.
That's
How
a
about for
good
you?
one.
Oh yeah, cool. How about for you, Alexis? What showed up on that one for you?
I'll walk you through
Oh,
this. So what does this project look like? So I was thinking about like a podcast, and like it would take like kind of vomiting out like all my soul and everything that I've kept bottled up. So these are like the vomit lines. And then I was like, well, that will make me also very tired. So, and then I was thinking about rest. So this is like the supportive rest, I guess.
Yeah.
And then looking at that just made me happy. So then I just started pink, like, I don't know, and it kind of looked like an eyeball. And yeah, it just
There's
kind
a
of
big
felt
heart
like
there.
at the end, it just made me like kind of happy just thinking about it. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. This is the one that I ended up doing, and I somehow I wanted to pick up 3 pens, so I literally picked up 3 pens and just ripped them off. So I don't know if that's like maybe I hadn't even thought about how to interpret it until I'm looking at it now, but it's like kind of maybe like my sort of different layers of myself, maybe like the outer layers and then the inner layers and then the inner layers. Um, and mine's around self-love, so it felt like okay, like oh, I self-love. Um, one of the biggest places that I trip up on self-love right now is in my brain. Because it's like, oh, you're too fat to be able to self-love yourself, or you didn't do that well enough, or wow, there should have been more, blah, 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 you know, or because this didn't work out, you're at fault with that. So a lot of it was, I was just noticing like I wanted to put hearts in various places, like around my heart, in my womb, like in my belly, like I have judgment about like my belly fat, right? My thighs and belly fat, it's like, what if I could bring love to that space, to my girl parts? But be specific here, paying more attention there. Okay, like this is showing up for me. And then this became kind of like almost like an egg of safety. And like within here, like I get to keep this container of self-love here. And it was like, no matter what's going on out here, this orange, like it felt very urgent, like this fluorescent pen wanted to be there. There's actually like this kind of psychic barrier that I can put up where if it's not good for me, it can't come in. That's what occurred for me in that. Who knows? I just totally made that up. And it sort of felt really real. Like again, I'm getting goosebumps. For me, like I don't know if you notice, if something feels true or interesting to you, do you have any body reaction? Like I often get goosebumps if I'm like, pay attention to that, Shauna.
Your accent comes back.
Oh,
It sneaks
interesting.
in more. The more you talk about it, the more you get into it, I hear a little more of your
A little more
accent.
Australians.
hmm
Do you notice that either of you, that when something is sort of touching something important, do you notice any body sensations? I know it's a weird question to ask.
I mean, I haven't with this,
Hmm.
but I do get chills with other things.
Hmm.
I get kind of like a feeling in my stomach. I don't know, like if something really hits, like, oh wow, that's real.
Got it. Beautiful. So we're going to do one more drawing right now, and then we're going to do our NLP process. So this one, again, you can use the same, like back of a piece of paper, or you can move on to the next one. And this is what I have using computer paper. So the next one I want you to pay attention to is, what is my biggest fear of playing big? If I go out and do that podcast, if I go out and create that, relationship with who knows what, or maybe that relationship with myself, Deb. So for me, like if I, create this blah, blah, blah with myself and self-love and, you know, what are some of the biggest fears? Oh my God, like everyone's going to expect me to do this perfectly all the time, or I'm going to screw it up and then people are like, you're not doing it right, or whatever it is. So see if you can contain, like bring that to mind. We talked a little bit about this, but if you were able to draw your biggest fear or fears of playing big, doing that thing, keep in mind the action that you want to do, what would that look like? And take about a minute or so, 2 minutes to do that. Again, you can pick a different color if you want. The colors. Just another 30 seconds or so. All right, so bringing it to a close. A dramatic music here. Woo! All right. So what showed up for you when you thought about your biggest fear of playing big? What did you notice in your drawing?
I have a lot of fears.
Mhm.
This is this. I started off here with the red and I was thinking about like criticism from other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is like all the fucking work I'm gonna have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like how I'm gonna be tired and like there's so much, this is just like the bullshit, I guess. And then I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna probably not do it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
These are like these big jagged edges and X's and all that. Yeah.
Powerful. Thank you. How about you, Deb?
It's like the cage back into myself.
Ah, look at that.
It's like the pain, the hurt, the attack, and the withdrawing back into self.
Got it.
Putting the gate back up, putting the
Yes.
protective barrier up. I have a
Got
good
it.
scaffolding that I can put up.
You're very effective at that.
Mm,
Anyone
very good
else?
at
Oh my gosh, we could be really
that.
good at that. Yeah, I noticed from mine here that it was like the first thing I thought is like I am gonna paint this target on myself
Mm.
and right on my heart, and like these arrows literally are coming to attack me. People are gonna be spraying scrutiny. I'm gonna be exhausted, like bloodshot eyes. People are gonna shout at me, and it's like I'm literally gonna be dripping blood.
Oh,
Like I might die. Feels very, very dramatic.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Thanks I really appreciate you being so courageous and sharing this. It's really fascinating because like I think the stuff that's amazing to me always about this is like uh a lot of this is sitting in our unconscious. We're just not even aware of it. Like some of it's, we're aware of, but other stuff it's like, clearly my system's quite worried about my well-being. Like I'm gonna be literally like people are gonna be shooting arrows at me and I'm gonna be dripping blood. I mean, that was not in my awareness. People aren't normally shooting arrows at me. But that's how it feels. So it's kind of interesting to see how to go. Thanks, unconscious, for sharing that with me. I really appreciate you serving that up to me. Now, I don't really want that to be my experience of my self-love project or so the next thing we're going to do is look at this NLP process. So it's called Circle of Excellence. And this is a really cool tool. Do any of you know what an anchor is? Not like a boat anchor, or my husband would call a fruitcake like a boat anchor, but do you know what an anchor is, or I can share what it is if that's not a familiar term?
Not a boat anchor?
Not a boat anchor. So it might be like, do you remember as a kid, did you ever have like the ice cream truck go by and it would play a certain song?
Mhm.
And then when you heard that, you knew that that song meant that there was ice cream available. You're like, "Have ice cream." So that's an example of an auditory anchor, the one that you can hear. So we're using our senses. It might be like if I walked into my mom's kitchen, like if I smell like bolognese, like that meat sauce, that red meat Italian sauce, I always think of my mother because she used to make it and it was so delicious. It was one of those like classic things that she would make. So I've anchored that smell to my mother. You might do that with perfume, for another example. You might see something and you might have a feeling. You might see your pet, and then you might have anchored this feeling of love and affection, maybe even joy. Like you come to the door and you know your dog or your cat. You know, my cats come running to the door. They're kind of like dogs. And then you anchor this feeling of love or joy or something because you're about to see your pet. Does that make sense? Can you think of an anchor in your life? What's one that comes to mind? So they can be physical, they can be like something you feel, something you smell, touch, taste.
Well, when I think of I think of my cat, but he just passed a
Oh,
month ago. So I think of him and I think of love and joy, but also grief
yeah,
for
yeah.
him.
So it's a mixture.
So
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
mixture.
mixture.
Yeah, yeah.
So an anchor doesn't have to be a good thing. It can also be a bad thing. You might smell like, you know, the smell of a like. I'm gonna be crowd. I don't know why this is coming to mind. The smell of a fart. You're like, oh, okay, that is positive anchor, right? For most people. Can you think of one, Alexis? It could be like music too, for example. It could be something that you hear.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like some country music that like gets me feeling a certain way, like that make me think of like my childhood, even like
Mm,
songs that I've never heard before, like newer stuff. I don't know.
got it. So that's the idea of an anchor. And so the beautiful thing about an anchor is that it's like this. I smell that bolognese. I think of my mom. I open the door and I see my cat and it's coming running to me. I feel that love and joy. I hear that country music song and I'm like, instantly I'm taken back to another place, a location, maybe a feeling I had. You know, if you listen to emo songs or like a song that just came to my mind, which I haven't thought in probably 20 years, Eurythmics, Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. Where the hell did that come out of my brain?
I was
Right?
just,
But I can hear it.
yep, I was just thinking about when I was in college, the music we used to listen to, and we go up to BC and go
Mhm.
dancing. It was all the punk rock.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the great thing about anchors is like oftentimes they get just kind of created through like repetition. But another thing is you can actually create them on purpose.
Hmm.
So Alexis, you might be able to relate to this because of, you know, your past experience, right? Your recent experience with doing the stand-up comedy. Like I noticed this too for myself. It's like if I, you know, back in the pre-COVID days and I knew I had to get up on a stage and do a presentation. I had to go to the front of a room and be in front of hundreds of people or something. I know already I'm going to be feeling a bit anxious about that, right? I'm going to be feeling, you know, like, am I going to do this right? Am I going to forget what I need to say? Am I going to, like, is the equipment going to work? I used to do a lot of demoing of things of like, oh my God, like is the software gonna work? I I had to do this training. I was not meant to be the presenter, and the presenter couldn't come because of a thing. It just totally was absolutely a bomb because I didn't know how to actually do the thing. I was there to learn. I created this kind of fear for myself of demoing software, you know, because of that thing just totally bombed. So if you can think about an example of something that either is relating to your project here, so it could be related to your podcast, could be related, Alexis, for example, to, you know, the next time you want to do a comedy show. Deb, it might be for you, like if you're thinking about in relationship and it's like, hey, I'm gonna like, I don't know, are you looking, is one of the things you're looking for is a romantic relationship?
I'm dipping my toe in.
Okay. Like I'm gonna be on a first date with someone and I can't think of what to say. You know, I'm so awkward or whatever it is. You know, have I got spaghetti on my teeth? Have I got spinach here? You know, like whatever it is, rather than like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm just connecting with this human. So I just want you to have a think about a context where you want to have some more choice about something. So a situation on that date, in that conversation, that one-on-one conversation, when I'm getting up on that stage, when I'm sitting here on Zoom about to do a training or a presentation, where you want to feel more liberated or you want to have a different behavior. So an example might be instead of like when I'm going up to speak and like I notice myself like blank, right? How do I want to feel instead? I want to feel clear. I want to feel confident. I want to feel joyful or fun or pumped up or, I don't know what it is, proud, on fire, like what, it doesn't really matter what the word is, but like, what is it that you want to feel in that situation? So again, you're thinking about the context where you want to have more choice. And then what is the, what would you want to think about in terms of a different behavior? So I think that the example of doing a presentation or doing like say before I get on Zoom, I want to make sure that when I'm getting on, like, so if I'm thinking about when I'm doing a Zoom training, I want to feel calm and present and connected. And I also want to feel confident, right? Like I know what I'm doing. I've got everything all together. Those are some qualities that I want to have. So can you all think about, you might want to even write it down here. I think it's helpful to have a sense. So like, what's the situation? Like just briefly. So for me, like, okay, training on Zoom. And then what are those qualities that you want to have? And so with those qualities, I'd say pick three. Let's just pick three for right now. So what would be the kind of mood or resource that you want? You know, what are the three most important ones? And what is there about it? So there's kind of a third part here. So what is it that might show up for you right now in that situation? So for me, for example, I might show up a bit disorganized. Um, I may not have thought through the timing exactly. And so I'm a bit worried, like, how is the timing going to go? I might show up a bit distracted, if I've got lots of other things going on. I might show up a bit nervous. This is also helpful for us to look at what are some of the turnarounds that we want for that thing. So not necessarily the opposite. It can be, if you're feeling really stressed out, maybe it's, you want to have courage in that moment, for example. If you're really disorganized, it might be that you want to have clarity. If you're feeling kind of separated, you might want to feel connection or community or contribution or something like that. Does that all make sense?
Mhm.
So just take about 30 seconds here to do that.
Are we drawing?
You can draw if you want, or you can just write some notes
Or we're just
down.
right? Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing the metacognitive right now.
Okay.
We're just going to be doing this process.
So I can keep writing.
Yes, you can just
That's
do
my
some
favorite
writing.
thing.
So again, the context, like what's the situation where, and often you'll find that this is helpful. So even if I'm doing it in the context of doing this training, it would work for me in presentations. It would work for me in a meeting where I'm a little uncomfortable or I think I'm out of my depth. It might be helpful if I'm meeting someone for the first time,
Mhm.
like going on a, whatever, or taking on something that feels new. So oftentimes it'll help with something bigger. Okay. And then I just want you to have a sense right now. So if you both could just take a second and just really imagine what a situation, like if you think about the context just for a second. So if I think about getting on a training and I told you about some of the ways that it could be. And I stop and think, okay, like what are some times where it's like 10 minutes before the class starts and I realize, oh my God, I forgot to figure out the music for this. And then oh, I can't find my apron. I'm going to be painting. I'm going to get paint all over my clothes. And then people might show up early and whatever. So, I mean, like, I can just feel that tension arising. I can feel it in my gut. I just can feel this shortness of breath. So if you can just take a minute here, you may want to close your eyes and just get yourself associated by just remembering a time where this thing had, the context that we're talking about showed up for you. And how was that for you? Just pay attention. What's going on in your body? See if you can you both picture in your mind? You can visualize? Okay. So just see if you can visualize it. What were you wearing? Where were you? What was going on? What do you notice in your body? Just pay attention to that for a minute. Okay, when you've got that, you can just come back into the space here. Okay. So for each of you, what are the three things that you want to create for yourself? The three different ways, the different states. So I'm going to say presence, clarity, and connection for me.
For mine is confidence, presence, and curiosity.
Confidence, presence, and curiosity. Got it.
Ooh, I like the curiosity.
You can always borrow from someone else if you want.
I've stolen your answers before.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, just three, huh?
Well, you can pick
Courage.
an extra one. This takes, and you can always, this is the thing that's cool about this. You can always add more to it because you'll know how to do it. So once you have it, if you discover it's like, oh, I really want to add this to it, then I'll share how you can do that. But just for time, I would say let's just pick three.
Yeah.
Three most important.
Powerful, energetic, and enough.
Powerful, energetic, enough. Hell yeah. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of visualizing here just for a minute. And so in this process, so if there's anything that you are curious about or doesn't make sense to you, let me know. And sometimes I find it's actually helpful for, that might be actually helpful for you to be standing. So I'm not going to stand just because I'm not, well, I'll just demonstrate for a second. So the thing is, you want to be able to essentially step into, so if you imagine that there's a circle in front of you on the floor, so you're not in it, but you're imagining it in front of you. Like if you imagine like you've all seen a hula hoop, right?
Yes.
A hula hoop, right?
Yep.
So imagine it's like there's a hula hoop in front of you, and you would be able to step into it, you know, within the boundaries of it, and you would be able to step back out of it. So that's kind of the concept that we're going to use it. We're not using an actual hula hoop, and this circle could be made of anything. So if you start to imagine, so if you just want to stay standing, and I'm going to take you through this process, okay? So imagine that there is a circle on the floor in front of you. And in the circle, can everyone see, can you imagine that there's a circle? Okay. So imagine that in the circle are exactly all of those states that you want. So Alexis, confidence, presence, and curiosity. Deb, the states of being powerful, energetic, and enough. Those are there in the circle. Where do you see this circle in space around you? Where is the circle?
What do you mean? It's right there.
Can you say that one more time, Deb? So for you, it's where?
It's right
Right
here.
in front, okay. And how about for you, Alexis?
Came
In
in front
front?
of the floor. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Now, it's actually interesting. You might start to notice as you pay attention, does your circle have a color? Or if you haven't noticed that yet, if it did have a color, what color would it be? And just tell me out loud.
Red,
Gray.
orange.
So bright orange for Deb.
Red, orange.
Oh, red orange for Deb. And what color for you, Alexis?
Gray.
Gray. Okay, got it. So you've got those colors in front of you. Does it make any noise?
Yeah, there's like a low roar.
A low roar. Okay. What about you, Deb?
I would say a rumbling.
Okay, a rumbling. What do the boundaries of your circle look like? How do you know what the edge is?
Like a shiny, blurry line.
Okay, shiny blurry line. Okay.
I
Not for
don't
you,
know.
Alexis.
I don't know.
And so I would just encourage you to make it up. If you could have this
Okay.
circle be any way you wanted it, and it would feel juicy or beautiful or interesting or cool.
Okay,
What
it's got like silver sequins around it. Like
silver sequence? Love it. Okay, fantastic. Now, how does it feel? And it might be like the feeling inside the space, or it might even be like the feeling, like if you were barefoot inside of the circle, what would you feel either with your feet or like energetically?
Warm and soothing,
Okay.
kind of like that encompassing, not a hug, but just an energetic.
Got it. And do you notice if you were to be barefoot inside of the circle, what would it feel like to your feet? Just feel warm and soothing? Would you feel a texture?
Um, it would be warm, maybe a little sandy.
Sandy. Okay, got it. And how about for you, Alexis? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I was thinking hot sand, and it's kind of like kind of electrifying, like static electricity kind of.
Oh,
Okay,
shocking.
nice.
Yeah, shocking.
Static electricity. Okay, got it. And one thing in this, like you can make this circle feel as beautiful, as fun, as whatever. Like you get to make the color, the shape, all those things that you want. So if you notice afterwards, it's like, gosh, I wish I had sequins. Like you can have sequins too. You can put whatever you want in this space. It's all good. So we want to think about here. Um, we're going to think about the first mood or resource that you want. So for Alexis, the first one that you had is confidence. Okay. And for Deb, the first one that you have is powerful. So I want you to trust your mind here to remember a time when you felt that. So Alexis, a time that you felt really confident, and Deb, a time that you felt really powerful. And can you think of a time?
Mhm.
Yes.
Got it both? Okay, great. So I want you to start to take yourself back to that time, seeing what you saw then, hearing what you heard, feeling what you felt. I want you to be really immersed into that space. And then I want you to actually notice, like maybe the energy in the space, let's say it's 3 out of 10. I want you to start to imagine, like, like if you imagine turning up the dial on the stereo. And we're going to slowly start to imagine turning up the dial. So, Alexis, you're turning up the dial on confidence. Deb, you're turning up the dial on powerful. You're starting to really turn it up. You're going to start to feel that energetically. Make sure you're closing your eyes here. You're feeling that emotion of confidence, that powerful. And as you're starting to really feel that feeling, I'm going to ask you to step slowly into your circle. So step forward into your circle, carrying that feeling, that confidence, that feeling of being powerful. Make sure you're standing in your circle. And Alexis, so you're in this circle. It's gray. You're hearing this low roar. You've got the sequence and this hot sand and the static electricity. Deb, you're in this red-orange circle with this rumbling, shiny, blurry line, this warm, soothing, kind of sandy feeling. Now start to amp that up even higher. Maybe you're a 5 or a 6. Keep turning up that feeling. You're feeling so confident, Alexa. You've never felt more confident in your life. It is so incredibly confidence raising for you to be in the circle. You've never been more confident. Amping up that confidence. Deb, you're feeling so freaking powerful. Like you could take over the world here. Such a feel that, like, if there's something that feels powerful with your arms, you could stick your arms up, like, oh my God, like I'm so freaking powerful. Like just go for it. Like anything you can do with your body to turn this up, anything you can tell yourself that you can feel in your body, a pose that feels like that, just go for it. Turn it up all the way up to 10. All the way up to 10. Breathe in that feeling, experience it fully. When it really feels really high, when you're all the way up to 10, see if you can actually amplify it. Maybe you can take it to 15. You're just feeling so confident. You're feeling so powerful. Feeling all of that in there. And when you feel really like you're all the way up to 15, you got as high as you can feel, then I want you to step out of the circle. Step out of the circle. Okay. Now we're going to leave that feeling in the circle because that's where the home is. That's where it's going to live. Maybe you want to shake it out a little bit, give it a little shake. You're doing great. You're doing so, so good. Awesome. Now, we want to make sure, okay, so one thing, how about you, Alexis, tell me the last four digits of your phone number.
9543.
How about for you, Deb?
6038.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you both in a second to step into your circle, and I want you to check and see that that state, that feeling is in your circle. So go ahead and step into it and just notice.
Ooh.
So you feel it, Deb. I can see it. You got it, Alexis? You can feel it? Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. Step back out again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the same process with our second thing that we want to create. Okay, and we're going to do this one a little bit faster because you know what you're doing now. You're really pros at this. So Alexis, this is presence for you. And Deb, this is energetic. Okay, so again, can you think, Alexis, of an example of when you were present? You were the most present in the moment you've ever been. It's like you could just be so connected to these people because you were so present. You just noticed everything, like whatever presence means to you. Can you think of an example?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then Deb, energetic. You got an example where like, oh my God, you just were like the Energizer Bunny. You're like, where the hell, what's she on? Like for that. Have you got an example?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so start to again, like we're gonna imagine here, we're turning up the dial on that. So you haven't stepped in the circle yet, but you're just starting to turn up the dial on that memory, getting in touch with the feelings. What were people hearing? You say, what were you saying? Were you touching something? Were you tasting something, smelling something? Just starting to turn up the dial. Maybe you're like a 3 or a 4. Start to strengthen that mood. All right, and as you start to feel that coming on, step slowly into the circle. So stepping back into your circle, Alexa, step into your circle, Deb, and close your eyes and really feel that powerful emotion surrounding you, flowing through your body. Alexis, you're feeling this presence. You're breathing into your body. You're enjoying it. It just feels so amazing to be this present. You're starting to turn it up. Deb, you feel so energetic. It's like, oh my gosh, use your body. Like, what does energetic look like? What does it feel like in your body for you to be so energetic? It feels amazing. Oh my God, it's so cool. Everyone should feel this. Feeling it. So turn it up. Turn up 7. Turn it up to an 8. Can you get it to a 10? What does it feel like to have this presence, to feel energetic? Oh my God, it feels so good in your body. Turn it up, keep turning it up, turn it up even higher. What's a little bit more you can bring to it? Just get so much in there. Does it have a feeling? Does it have a color? Feel it just jumping in there. Oh my gosh, it's like, I have that thing. And when you feel it fully in there, then you can step out of your circle. All right. So what was the name of the street you lived in as a kid? And if you lived in multiple places, just pick one.
Canyon Road.
Dover Mansion.
Got it. Beautiful. Now I want you to step back in your circle and see if you can feel the 2 things there. You feel powerful and energetic, Deb?
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, you feel confident in presence?
Yes.
Awesome. Step back out. You're doing amazing. All right. So we're going to do the same thing here with the third one. So Alexis, curiosity, and Deb, enough. Like that feeling enough. Okay. So again, can you think of an example where, Alexis, you felt this curiosity and Deb, you felt absolutely enough. You were totally enough.
Mm-hmm.
Got it? Okay. So starting to again, turn up the volume on that. Turning it up. Feeling that dial. You may even want to like literally use your hands and turn up the dial. Just imagine like you're turning that dial up. You're increasing the color that, it's like even brighter color. Maybe there's more light that comes into it. As you're starting to feel it ramping up, stepping into your circle. Alexis, you're starting to feel this curiosity. You've never been more curious in your mind. You're just so curious about everything and everyone and how this can be. Turning it up, turning it up, turning it up. Deb, you feel so enough. You know that you are enough. Nothing can question that. You are so enough. What does that feel like in your body? So I need to turn it up, keep on turning it up till you hit a 10. And then do you have a bit more you can give it? What does it feel like to be enough? To know that you are enough, to know that you've got this incredible curiosity, Alexis. people are just saying like, oh my God, you're so curious. It's incredible what you bring this curiosity to the situation, and keep on turning it up. If you need to do a body movement, if there's something else that would show that, add it into the space. What would you smell, touch, taste if you were curious, if you were enough? And when you have that feeling really ramped up in your body, you can step out of the circle. Okay. And then let's do another little interrupt here. What was your first pet's name?
Ty.
Ty.
Katie.
Awesome. Now step back into your circle and just notice, are all three of the states there? Deb, are you powerful, energetic enough? Do you feel all three of them there?
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, do you feel confidence, presence, and curiosity there?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So you can step out of them. Okay. Now you're getting really close to being done with this. It's kind of amazing. You're actually doing this in an incredible way. Okay. So we want to do a little test, right? So we've just done a little test to know that those states are there. And we're going to see how it feels to use this. So I want you to think about that context that we talked about at the beginning, where you wanted to have these states in that particular way. So, I wanted to be able to feel like if I'm doing this training on Zoom, I have this presence and clarity connection. So can you think about that situation where you want these states to show up for you? You got those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to really, as you're outside of the circle here, just start to really bring that situation to mind. You're meeting this new person for the first time. Maybe you're going on a date, Deb, or Alexis, you're getting ready to do this, public thing, and like you might be feeling, you might even remember a situation where something happened. It was very undesirable. It turned out, right? Like I embarrassed myself when, I bombed out on something, or I forgot to do this thing, or this whole thing went just down the toilet. Okay. So we want to make sure that we've got that in our mind. So does everyone have that in their mind?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to actually ask you in a minute to step into your circle, not yet. And so when you're ready, bring with that context that we have in mind, I'm going to ask you, and I think we might do this actually. How about Deb, we have you do it first, and then we'll have you do it, Alexis. So Deb, so again, you've got this situation in mind, okay, and then I want you to walk into your circle. Walking into that circle and allowing yourself to feel this power, to feel this way of being that you have, being so energetic and enough, and allow that feeling to come through your whole system. What is it doing to that experience that you're thinking about? You're in this red orange space. You've got this rumbling feeling, you've got this blurry line around you. It feels warm and soothing and sandy. What do you notice in that? The heat is there. You're in that situation. You're doing what you do. What do you notice?
That it's positive.
Yeah, it's already
It's
transforming,
fun.
right?
Yeah. That I'm in
Beautiful.
control.
I'm in control. How do you feel?
Safe.
It feels
Safe
safe.
and okay.
Beautiful. Awesome. So just maybe bathe in that for a second. Just imagine like it's like a warm hug, in that space. And when you really got that, you could even, if you wanted to, like sometimes people like you're doing this with your hand. This is kind of also another anchor. Maybe for you,
Mm.
this is actually something you want to do when you're in there. Okay, it's just showing up naturally for you. That's another kind of anchor. So when you have that, you can step out of your circle. Okay, beautifully done. So Alexis, same thing for you now. Like you're thinking about this context, right? Where this has been a challenge. Okay. And then when you're ready, I want you to step into your circle. All right, so you're this gray space, this low roll that's happening. You're surrounded by these gorgeous silver sequins, this hot sand. It's like this static electricity. It's electrifying. And you're really bringing all of this confidence, this presence, this curiosity to the situation. It's just amazing how confident you feel. You just feel like the most present person ever. You feel this incredible curiosity. What do you notice is happening in the situation?
Feels like invigorating, kind of like I feel like a menthol kind of almost feeling.
Mm. Yeah, and is there anything like that shows up for you? It could be like there's a physical thing, like where you like touch something on your body, or it's like it doesn't need to have that, but sometimes it's actually there might be something physical that you actually can do in there that also helps you to get in touch with this. Is there something that's showing up for you?
No, not right now.
No worries. So for you, it seemed like it was almost like this menthol smell. So that actually smell is an incredibly strong way. So for you, just bathe in that smell, that feeling of invigoration. And when you feel ready, you can jump it out. Okay. So you both are doing amazing. We've just got a couple more minutes here. So one final thing just to shift our brain for a second. What should I ask you? What are the last what are the first 3 digits of your phone number backwards?
524.
202.
Okay, awesome. Great. Okay. So we're going to imagine here that you're able to, what I'm going to share with you is, so now that you've created this circle, it's actually available for you to use it whenever you need it. And now your circle's kind of big out there, right? Like mine's kind of like the hula hoop size. It's kind of a bit large to carry around. So I'm going to ask you to actually to imagine that you can compress your circle. So just picture it in front of you. And it's like, like, have you seen those things? It's kind of like a concertina. You can kind of squish it up. Well, like those really great bags, shopping bags that squeeze into this tiny little space. So imagine that you're going to squish it up and just magically it goes into the small thing. You can actually just even imagine that. And you may or may not have a back pocket, but I'm going to encourage you to put it into your back pocket. And it's a metaphorical back pocket, like it's always there. Okay. So your circle, it's there. Your circle of excellence now lives in your back pocket. And what you're going to notice is that the next time that you want to have those qualities, you can literally take it out of your back pocket and just put it down there and it opens up right in front of you. So the next time you're out there, perhaps you're doing the next comedy routine, Alexis, or you're about to do your podcast session with someone, or Deb, you're going to meet someone for the first time. You can be sitting there literally at your table and imagine that you're taking it out and it's just sitting right underneath your feet as you're sitting at that table, or as you're stepping on the stage. It's right there in front of you with the mics going right between it, and you're actually standing in it as you're giving your session, like you're doing, what is it called? Your routine, right? Your routine. You're standing there in your circle of excellence. Okay? And it's so easy to do that. So can you imagine that right now? Can you imagine yourself, just take a moment here in your mind, just close your eyes and imagine yourself doing that thing, and imagine yourself taking that circle of excellence out of your back pocket, throwing it on the ground. It's instantly available for you. And just notice yourself stepping into it or putting your feet into it if you're sitting down. And just notice that those feelings of confidence, presence, and curiosity are available to you, Alexis, whenever you need them. And Deb, this power, this energetic enoughness is available for you whenever you need it in the future. All right.
I have such a strong visual of color
Yeah.
radiating
So
up.
that's
Yeah.
good. So you can sit down. How are you both feeling?
Good.
That was like really powerful. Like that was
Yeah.
cool. That was cool.
And I want to draw it, right?
Yeah, so I mean, if you've got a few extra minutes, like I don't need to go right now. Like, do you want to take a minute and just draw your circle of excellence or whatever it is that you're feeling right now? Like, whatever you feel called to draw. Is that okay if we go like 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like let's see, you know, whatever, either draw your circle or your experience or even like the colors, like have at it. You can let me know when you're
I'm done.
both good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. You want to show us? If I mean, you feel free to show us if you're.
So
Okay.
I have, with my coach, I've created a persona called Divine Deb. And
Mm.
when I lettered it out, on big butcher paper, I had lettered. It's so funny because I used these colors, but didn't realize it, but had used these, you know, the structure, that strong, powerful structure for my D and my I and my, you know, that was
Yeah.
very much present in my writing out Divine Deb, and with the cascade of colors. So it's like, yeah.
They sound like powerful colors for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it could even be like, you know, you wear something that color. Maybe it's your underwear. I don't know. I just bought a really cool, like
That's a
hot
great.
red. Yeah,
That's,
I just bought this hot red like bra and panty set and there and a coral set. It's like it's so freaking awesome. You can't tell from the outside,
yep.
but like it's like I'm wearing this hot red bra.
That's great, because I bought a new car a couple of years ago and it was red, and I've always had brown cars, and I'm like, is this a freaking red car, you know? But I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna go shopping and get a new
Yes.
bra. That's awesome.
How about for you, Alexis?
Well, it's just there's like it's like hot and sizzling. There's electricity. There's like little yellow. I wrote zap. There's like little yellow electricity bits and stuff. Like, but it's really like I wrote down here spicy menthol because that's what I really felt in my body.
Yeah, and it might even be powerful, right? Like what is something in your life that smells like menthol?
I don't know. I smell it a lot. I feel like I smell it a lot. There's something. I just can't
Like
think of what
Vicks
it
Vapor
is.
Rub or something like what like
Yeah.
or like you know was it like Tiger Balm or something like
I think that's what I was thinking of, like a Bengay type thing.
That's
Yeah.
the word.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. So one thing from a neuroscience perspective, smell, rhinocephalin, is the sense is one of the most powerful and quickest ways that you can shift yourself. So like for example, if you were going to go up, this is just one idea of how you could use it. Before you go up on the stage, you literally take that Bengay and put a little bit of it right under the tip of your nose. Or even like sometimes in cranial, we'll do it like the left and the right side because they're actually going to different parts of your brain. So as long as it's okay with your skin,
Right.
put a little tiny bit under your left, smell, right? And you'll also still smell it because it's still there, just a tiny bit. It'll help you shift your state just like that. right? Is so because you've associated that, it's so strong. It will, I mean, I promise you, it will shift in an incredible way. So sense of smell is incredibly, incredibly powerful as a tool. So that would be one idea for you.
Cool.
And again, bringing your colors. Maybe you've got some sequins somewhere. I don't know. Thinking about Marley and her, like, you know, her sequin, her sequin
Yeah.
top.
Her
Who
secret
knows?
best.
But something that feels good to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you both think about, like, I can just see like the shift in your state, right? Than when we started. Do you see that in
Mhm.
yourselves?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you think about you're playing big, you know, what does playing big right now feel like to you when you're in this resource state?
A red bra.
Good. Red bra.
Well, it's the not unconscious, but it's the power that's there, but not overt, right?
Yeah.
It's just that hidden, quiet confidence fire, energetic.
Beautiful. And is there any, and I know you said you're going to go out and buy a red bra. Is there any other action that you could take this week that's going to move this action forward? Because we always want to take the awareness and move it forward
Right.
somewhere.
This week, I am just going out more and being like, actually, I am meeting friends on Thursday. I could go early and sit at the bar and just engage with even the bartender.
Beautiful. So are you going to do that?
Yes, I will do that. I will
Nice.
do
No,
that.
no waffly words. Okay, beautiful. So
I'll stop at Target on the way to buy the red bra, put it on in the bathroom, and then I'll go to the bar.
Facebook
I
Live.
love it. I love it. You know, it's something, it's incredible. Like sometimes what we were underneath is actually really important.
Yeah,
So,
no, I
and it's
love that.
also, I love it. It's very loving. And then how about for you, Alexis?
What does it look like to me? What does playing big look like now? Just like taking risks. I don't know. But I was thinking about something I can do right now. I'm gonna try that. Because I feel like with the Bengay under my nose, I should try that out before I go on stage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it out because I think that feels really powerful, and yeah. So
Yeah, it's so interesting what different scents do for us, but like, you know, it's a really powerful like because you'll notice sometimes, right? If you like, you know, if you use lavender, it's very calming, for example. Like there are definitely scents that you'll experience in a certain way. So I love it. So you're gonna get some Bengay and try that out.
And I will not
Beautiful.
be doing the menthol Bengay before I go out to the bar. I'm just saying.
No.
I will not sit at the bar smelling like Bengay.
But there might be a perfume, right? Or something that
Yeah.
you put on where you're like, I feel hot in this, you know,
Mhm.
I feel gorgeous or beautiful or whatever it is you want to feel. Like I don't know what it is, but it's like, I don't know. I stopped wearing perfume for the longest time and then I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, when I actually put it on, like I feel like I'm taking good care of myself and I like the way I smell.
I did just
So
buy some. Yeah. Just a few weeks ago. I bought just little trial
yeah,
packs just to
yeah.
boost my mood and yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. So you both did incredibly well here. And hopefully anyone that watches the recording, you've been able to follow along the processes that we did here. So circle of excellence, remember, it's always there in your back pocket. It's always there. And so when you need a shot of those experiences that you want to have, you want to bring those resources into this moment, you literally can just imagine putting it out there. It's right there for you to step into. Now, if you want to add some other qualities, you're like later on, it's like, I want to add fun into this. Like, hey, creating new relationships could be really fun. You know what to do, right? Imagine a time that you've been having fun and that get it ramped up. Start turning the dial up. Step back into a circle. Like put your circle in front of you, step in, turn it all the way up, step out, do something to shift your brain, like make your brain think about something else for a second, step back in and see if it's there. Now, if it's not there, you're like, oh, it doesn't feel fun enough. Step back out, ramp it up again, even more. Maybe think of a different memory. Step back in, ramp it up. You just want to check that it's there so you can add on more resources if you want. The circle of excellence can become something that you can use for any situation. And it's just remember that it's always there. Okay. Cool. Any other final comments before we close up tonight?
Thank you so much. What a
Yeah.
fun experience.
Yeah.
This was great.
Yeah, this is really cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. Can I take a screen cap and I can put on the for our team?
Yeah.
Maybe, or maybe you can all hold up a picture. I don't know, like maybe a circle of excellence picture if you're willing. Okay, awesome. Let me take a screen cap. Okay, ready? Okay, beautiful. Great. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in group.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Yeah.